Welcome, one and all. Let me just get the music off here. The Art of Silence by Unique, which we enjoy almost every evening here in the Sned Shed. Welcome, one and all, to this Friday edition of the Indoctrination. I'm David Snedeker, and I will be your host for the next 2 hours. And I am very excited to get into a few things with you right now. And the first thing I want to get into is the tariffs. So welcome, one and all. Now, you know that I've been saying that the Supreme Court would most likely vote against President Trump's tariffs. And so I saw this coming, but I also knew that President Trump saw this coming as well. And so I just want to show his remarks here. We're not going to play the whole thing, but I just wanted to get a taste of it here and play it for you. So let me do that and buckle up. And this is his response after coming out of his meeting with the governors. And, he had gotten a note passed him while he was in that meeting that they had voted against him. But let's listen in.
Wow. That's a lot of people. That's a new record. We set a record every time. Well, thank you very much for being here. The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for our country. I'd like to thank and congratulate Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh for their strength and wisdom and love of our country, which is right now very proud of those justices. When you read the dissenting opinions, there's no way that anyone can argue against them. There's no way. Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic. They're so happy. And they're dancing in the streets, but they won't be dancing for long, that I can assure you. The Democrats on the court are thrilled, but they will automatically vote no. They're an automatic no, just like in Congress. They're an automatic no. They're against anything that makes America strong, healthy, and great again. They also are a, frankly, disgrace to our nation, those justices. They're an automatic no, no matter how good a case you have. It's a no. But you can't knock their loyalty. It's one thing you can do with some of our people. Others think they're being politically correct, which has happened before far too often with certain members of this court. And it's happened so often with this court. What a shame. Having to do with voting in particular, when in fact they're just being fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats, and not that this should have anything at all to do with it. They're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution. It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think. It's a small movement. I won by millions of votes. We won in a landslide. With all the cheating that went on, there was a lot of it. We still won in a landslide. Too big to rig. But these people are obnoxious, ignorant, and loud. They're very loud. And I think certain justices are afraid of that. They don't want to do the right thing. They're afraid of it. This was an important case to me, more as a symbol of economic national security. And also, I would say, just for our country itself, so important, because we're doing so well as a country. We've never done so well. The good news is that there are methods, practices, statutes, and authorities, as recognized by the entire court in this terrible decision, and also as recognized by Congress, which they refer to, that are even stronger than the IEEPA tariffs available to me as President of the United States. And in actuality, I was very modest in my ask of other countries and businesses because I wanted to do and it's very important. I wanted to be very well behaved because I wanted to do anything. I didn't want to do anything that would affect the decision of the court, because I understand the court. I understand how they're very easily swayed. I want to be a good boy. I have very effectively utilized tariffs over the past year to make America great again. Our stock market has just recently broken 50,000 on the Dow, and simultaneously, and even more amazingly, broken 7,000 on the S&P, two numbers that everybody thought upon our landslide election victory could not be attained. Think of that. Nobody thought it was possible to do it within 4 years, and we did it in 1 year. They said, you'll never be able, you'll go back and you read the geniuses, read their statements, all of the Nobel Prize winners in economics. They said, no, you couldn't do it in 4 years. Well, we didn't do it in 4 years. We did it in 1 year. We broke every record in the book, and we're continuing to do so. Tariffs have likewise been used to end 5 of the 8 wars that I settled. I settled 8 wars, whether you like it or not, including India, Pakistan, big ones, nuclear, could have been nuclear. Prime Minister of Pakistan said yesterday at the great meeting that we had, the Peace Board, he said yesterday that President Trump could have saved 35 million lives by getting us to stop fighting. They were getting ready to do some bad things, but they've given us great national security, these tariffs have, and together with our strong borders, reduced fentanyl coming into our country by 30%. When I use them as a penalty against countries illegally sending this poison into our country to poison our youth, all of those tariffs remain. They all remain. I don't know if you know that or not. They all remain. We're still getting them, and we will after the decision. I guess there's nobody left to appeal to. But again, those 3 people, such respect. I've had a lot of respect for them anyway, but such great respect. But other alternatives will now be used to replace the ones that the court incorrectly rejected. We have alternatives, great alternatives. Could be more money. We'll take in more money, and we'll be a lot stronger for it. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We'll continue to do so. To show you how ridiculous the opinion is, however, the court said that I'm not allowed to charge even $1. I can't charge $1. Can't charge $1. I would have used 1 penny, but we don't make the pennies anymore. We save money. Can't charge $1 to any country under IEPA. Not $1. I assume to protect other countries. This must have been done to protect those other countries, certainly not the United States of America, which they should be interested in protecting. That's what they're supposed to be protecting. But I am allowed to cut off any and all trade or business with that same country. In other words, I can destroy the trade. I can destroy the country. I'm even allowed to impose a foreign country destroying embargo. I can embargo. I can do anything I want, but I can't charge $1. Because that's not what it says. And that's not the way it even reads. I can do anything I want to do to them, but I can't charge any money. So I'm allowed to destroy the country, but I can't charge them a little fee. I could give them a little 2-cent fee, but I cannot charge under any circumstances. I cannot charge them anything. Think of that. How ridiculous is that? I'm allowed to embargo them. I'm allowed to tell them you can't do business in the United States anymore. We want you out of here. But if I want to charge them $10, I can't do that. It's incorrect. Their decision's incorrect. But it doesn't matter because we have very powerful alternatives that have been approved by this decision. You know, they've been approved by the decision for those that thought they had us. And they're saying that I have the absolute right to license, but not the right to charge a license fee. So think of that. I have the right to license. It's a very powerful word. In many ways, license is more powerful than tariffs. In fact, I was thinking about using it. But they came up with the idea that I can license, just like the people that were opposing me told them to do, but not the right to charge a license fee. Think of that. Who ever heard of such a thing? What license has ever been issued without the right to charge a fee? You get a license, you charge a fee. It's automatic, but not with this court. But now the court has given me the unquestioned right to ban all sorts of things from coming into our country, to destroy foreign countries, but a much more powerful right than many people ever thought we even had, but not the right to charge a fee. How crazy is that? Our country is the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. And it was a dead country 1.5 years ago under an incompetent president. But now I'm going to go in a different direction, probably the direction that I should have gone the first time, but I read the language. I'm very good at reading language, and it read our way 100%. But now I'll go the way I could have gone originally, which is even stronger than our original choice. As Justice Kavanaugh, whose stock has gone so up, you have to see, I'm so proud of him, wrote in his dissent, although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. So, think of that. The decision might not substantially constrain. And it doesn't. He's right. In fact, I can charge much more than I was charging. So I'm going to just start. Although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. That's because numerous other federal statutes, which is so true, authorize the president to impose tariffs and might justify most, if not all, of the tariffs issued in this case. Even more tariffs, actually. Those statutes include, think of that, those statutes include, for example, the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, Section 232. All of these things I know so well. The Trade Act of 1974, Sections 122, 201, 301. And the Tariff Act of 1930, Section 338, all clear. But it's a little bit longer process. I thought I'd make things simple, but they didn't let us do that. I would like to thank Justice Kavanaugh for frankly, his genius and his great ability. Very proud of that appointment. In actuality, while I am sure that they did not mean to do so, the Supreme Court's decision today made a president's ability to both regulate trade and impose tariffs more powerful and more crystal clear rather than less. I don't think they meant that. I'm sure they didn't. It's terrible. And to think that the Democrats who oppose this only because they want to go the opposite way, they'd like to pack the court. They want to put on 21 people. They want to pack the court, pack the Supreme Court. Maybe they should do it. Maybe they would be better off if they did it. They want to pack the court. They want to do anything to hurt our country. There will no longer be any doubt, and the income coming in and the protection of our companies and country will actually increase because of this decision. I don't think the court meant that, but it's the way it is. Based on long-standing law and hundreds of victories, and even, as I was pointed out before, even thousands of victories over the years, to the contrary, the Supreme Court did not overrule tariffs. They merely overruled a particular use of IEEPA tariffs. And essentially, it's used to get a fee. I can do anything I want with IEEPA, anything. I just can't charge anybody for it. I can license, I just can't charge them. It's ridiculous, but it's okay because we have other ways, numerous other ways. The ability to block, embargo, restrict, license, or impose any other condition on a foreign country's ability to conduct trade with the United States under IEEPA has been fully confirmed by this decision. So now there's no doubt, because, there were a lot of questions about tariffs because no president was smart enough to use them to protect our country from those countries and businesses that were ripping us off. You took a look at the deficits that we had with some of these countries. It was disgraceful what they got away with for many, many decades. But now we know, because this decision affirms all those things that some people weren't sure about. In order to protect, and it says so, in order to protect our country, a president can actually charge more tariffs than I was charging in the past period of a year under the various tariff authorities. So we can use other of the statutes, other of the tariff authorities, which have also been confirmed and are fully allowed. Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs under Section 232 and existing Section 301 tariffs, they're existing, they're there, remain in place, fully in place, and in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And we're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices of other countries and companies. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And I say quite simply, which I've said for a long time, make America great again. And interestingly, we've already made it great, so I don't have to use that, but I don't think we'll ever give up on MAGA. MAGA is always going to be with us. If you have
This is quite the response. Now, you and I know that President Trump had this response dialed in before this went down, because he predicted exactly what I predicted, and this was the fact that this was necessary. And I've been telling you for quite some time that what we're seeing with this judiciary is part of the show, because the judiciary has to be exposed to their corruption. It's almost like some guy puts on a robe and he can't take money under the table, or can't take favors, or anything like that. No, that it doesn't work that way. People are just as evil in a robe as they are without. And so what I believe this was all about was twofold. If the left is to believe, and they've been celebrating, by the way, the Supreme Court decision, Pelosi, Schumer, they're all, I'm live on X, but I'm definitely missing some people, because it's almost like it doesn't show up. You've got to click above the thing on X, or click on, let me show you. So when I live stream to X, it doesn't show up as a live show anymore for some reason. And so here we are on X. If you go to my page and you click on live, it goes to this and shows this live show in a different format, but still one where you can chat and so forth. Yeah, Jan. So did you not get notifications? Jan says, Dave, didn't know you were on. But we have a small audience tonight, so there's definitely something screwy with X. So you either go there on X, or you just go down here and you click on this, and that'll take you to the same thing, the same broadcast. Okay. So sorry that is the case, that it doesn't make much sense, but I got to get to the bottom of that as to why that's happening, because we are down in our numbers, and I think that might be the reason why. So at any rate, so this whole thing with Trump, okay, and the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court had to be exposed. And I'm going to show you a clip that is making the rounds here on X of his Q&A, which we didn't listen to there. So listen, and President Trump, I don't know if I caught it in that little bit I showed you. I think I did. I may have missed some of it, but he said that these Supreme Court justices must be working for these other countries, or must be making this decision to benefit these other countries. And he mentioned foreign influence in the Supreme Court. This is huge, my friends. This is the top court in the land, you know. And if he's calling out corruption there, you know it exists. President Trump doesn't make those comments lightly, and he doesn't make them if they're not true. So listen to this.
President, you mentioned multiple times foreign influence over the Supreme Court. Do you have evidence of that? And if not, will you investigate that?
You're going to find out.
You're going to find out. You're going to find out. I don't know. Give it maybe a week and a half. That was the timetable between him mentioning Somalis are garbage and Nick Shirley's 130 million views on his video exposing the Minnesota corruption of the Somalis at record levels. Hold on. Let me do that again. I may not have showed you that. I'm sorry.
President, you mentioned multiple times foreign influence over the Supreme Court. Do you have evidence of that? And if not, will you investigate that?
You're going to find out.
President, you mentioned multiple times.
There you go. You're going to find out. That's pretty huge, my friends. And also he mentioned, Supreme Court exposed for not following the Constitution, Demra. You know, the thing that he said too was, Epic Day, is that he can license, but he can't charge for it. So he brought up the very ridiculousness of these decisions. Now, so think about the left and how they're all behind this, and the Supreme Court, gave us back our country, and lot of right. Well, if they're going by the Supreme Court, then they must go by Justice Kavanaugh's comments. Okay. So I want to take you to President Trump's Truth Social, and I'm going to show you two things, a couple things here. First off, let me show you his comment here, which was, it is my great honor to have just signed from the Oval Office a global 10% tariff on all countries, which will be effective almost immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. All right. Okay. Then he says, those members of the Supreme Court who voted against our very acceptable and proper method of tariffs should be ashamed of themselves. Their decision was ridiculous, but now the adjustment process begins, and we will do everything possible to take in even more money than we were taking in before. Let me take you to Scott Bessent and his comment today. Right here. Here we go.
I'd like to take a moment to address today's Supreme Court ruling, and I would note that I did not change a single word in my speech post the ruling. President Trump will always put our national security and Americans first. And as I have said before, the president has multiple tools in his toolbox. Let's be clear about what today's ruling was and what it wasn't. Despite the misplaced gloating from Democrats, ill-informed media outlets, and the very people who gutted our industrial base, the court did not rule against President Trump's tariffs. 6 justices simply ruled that IEEPA authorities cannot be used to raise even $1 of revenue. This administration will invoke alternative legal authorities to replace the IEEPA tariffs. We will be leveraging Section 232 and Section 301 tariff authorities that have been validated through thousands of legal challenges. Treasury's estimates show that the use of Section 122 authority, combined with potentially enhanced Section 232 and Section 301 tariffs, will result in virtually unchanged tariff revenue in 2026. And with
Okay. So it's unchanged. They're doubling down, if you will. This isn't going to affect our coffers. This is going to increase our coffers, because what happened was, if they have to go, if the Democrats are playing this game where they're all excited that they did this to President Trump, and then and they say it was the right decision, then they have to listen to what Justice Kavanaugh said about the other alternatives, right? And this is really important, and it's really big. Now, what he's done here, and let me take you to his most recent posts on Truth, is he has, first of all, the last one I'm going to take you to, okay, after the one I just read you. All right, so this last one was just, let's see, it was just a couple hours ago. What happened today with the two United States Supreme Court justices that I appointed against great opposition, Neil Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett, whether people like it or not, never seems to happen with Democrats. They vote against the Republicans and never against themselves, almost every single time, no matter how good a case we have. At least I didn't appoint Roberts, who led the effort to allow foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years to continue to do so. But we won't let it happen. The new tariffs, totally tested and accepted as law, are on their way. President Donald J. Trump. Okay, so he's highlighting the three justices. The one that he left out, that we've all had discussions on, is Ketanji Brown Jackson. And is she even legitimate? Because she was most likely signed into the court with the auto pen. So this is, everyone is now looking at the Supreme Court, and that, in my opinion, is exactly what President Trump wanted us to do. Now, let me take you to the post about those members, okay? Those members of the Supreme Court who voted against our very acceptable and proper methods of tariffs, okay? I'm going to take you to the timestamp on that. The timestamp is 7:04, which we always drop the 0, which takes us to 74, which takes us to Q equals Alice. You'll soon understand the meaning behind Alice and Wonderland. Everything has meaning. God bless. Now, if there's anything that Q has made very clear to us over the years, it's that Saudi Arabia was heavily involved in the financing of our politicians, and especially Barack Hussein Obama. So we also go to We Think Mirror, and we go to 47. You can paint a picture based solely on the questions asked. Be vigilant today and expect a major false flag. Does anyone find it to be a coincidence there's always a terrorist attack when bad news breaks for the Democrats? What is that called? False flag. Military relevant how? Barack Obama could not and would not allow the military to destroy ISIS. Why? How was ISIS formed? When? How has POTUS made such progress in the short time he's been president? Again, Alice and Wonderland, which is Hillary Clinton, who's going to be testifying in a few days. And they've worked it out, so they're doing it from their home and not coming to Washington, D.C. I find that to be very suspicious, and yet not concerning, because I believe they are without question under control, which is why Hillary Clinton's Twitter account has been used to send us into comms that are very damning to her. But let me take you to the next post of President Trump's, who said, and that's the one I just read to you, 646. Okay. And let's go into the Q drops, and we'll go into 646. Now, where did I go with that one? Okay, I got to back this one up, I think. I'm sorry, 746. But that did not. It was about Chris Wallace, and Mike Wallace didn't really take us anywhere. But there was one that I did. I'm sorry that I have lost my. Okay, the 539 post. That's the one I wanted to take you to. Okay, or 639, and the 639 is this one. It is my great honor to have just signed from the Oval Office the 10% tariff globally. Okay, now, given that, let's follow this into the drops. 639. Okay. 639 takes us to January 27, 2018. Learn some history. Now, he's calling out the Democrats. He's calling out the left. And so he's taking us to the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery, 100% Republican support, 23 Democrat. 15th Amendment right to vote for all, 100% Republican, 0% Democrat. And yet they're the ones that want to make sure that everyone can vote. 14th Amendment gave citizenship to freed slaves, 94% Republican support, 0% Democrat. Obamacare, 0% Republican support, 86% Democrat support. Okay, learn some history. 13th Amendment. Do you trust your black leaders? How much are they worth? Reconcile. Okay. And by the way, what was very interesting was President Trump's post on Truth Social about Jesse Jackson, linked to a Q drop with a picture of him and Jesse Jackson. So there was more Q comms there. Okay. But let's also look at where this takes us. In the blue here, next to 6 zeros, you have 74. Okay. Which was the other post that we were just at, which took us to 74. Okay. And also think mirror 47. So that's when I know that he's definitely sending us into the drops to communicate with us. Now, so is the foreign interference, the foreign influence with these justices, is it connected to Saudi Arabia? Okay. So that's a possibility, but we're going to find out. Okay. And these Supreme Court justices just fucked around. Okay. And that we're going to find out. So this was necessary because, Q didn't say Supreme Court is the only way. Okay. Q said the only way forward is military. And so we're not going to be needing the Supreme Court. And like I told you all along, Trump doesn't need the Supreme Court. He's going to go around them anyway for these tariffs. And he's already made it clear that these tariffs are national security. And he can prove that. So he can also prove that voting against those was voting against national security, which he mentioned. So when they find that there's influence from foreign, adversaries on the Supreme Court, it is going to be treasonous because they just voted against something for national security. Okay. This is pretty big. It's a huge day. It's very, very important. And he just went right around the whole thing. Okay. And it's very, very interesting how this is all coming together. What's also been very noticeable as of late is a lot of people are posting these chat GPT communications and how woke chat GPT is. And somebody asked, is white pride bad? One word answer, yes. Is black pride bad? One word answer, no. So we see the wokeness in the AI, and we certainly know that we are up against some battles with AI in terms of how we're going to end up with all this. And I was thinking today, I was listening to something while I was driving, and I was, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna take you to that. I just wanted to show you the full poster of Spiritual Street Fighter, and because we are in information warfare, and it's so important for us to make sure that we are connecting with somebody that we believe to have some proper insight into the things that are happening in our world. And I hope that you're finding that with me. And that is why you are here. And I will continue to provide that as best I can. And I take it very, very seriously. And I know you do as well. So, okay. So let me take you to, hope you're all well tonight on this Friday evening. The numbers are starting to pick up, but we're definitely being hurt by this X thing. I don't know what the heck's going on, but it's not showing up on X, and people also aren't getting, I don't think they're getting their notifications. If you're on X and you got your notification, please let me know. Let's see. And I want to take you to this. I don't know the date on this, but I just wanted to show it because I saw it today and I thought this is important. This is Iranian parliament and the MPs burning the American flag. Death to America.
متشکرم. آقای گرجن مراقب باشید مجلس آتش بزنید. متشکرم. بفرمایید. اگر اروپا و کشورهای مهم مثل روسیه و چین این خلأ بین المللی را پر کنند، شاید راهی برای ادامه مسیر باشد. در غیر این صورت جمهوری اسلامی با اقدامات هسته‌ای خود ایشان را سر عقل می آورد. و این را بدانند که در چنین شرایطی در غیر این صورت جمهوری
Otherwise, Iran will bring President Trump to his senses with its nuclear actions.
اسلامی با اقدامات هسته‌ای خود ایشان را سر عقل می آورد. و این را بدانند که در چنین شرایطی
Iran will have no commitment to stay in its previous position on the nuclear issue. Sounds like they're threatening nukes. Iranian parliament, pretty big place. It's sounds like a lot of people with problems with America, and a lot of the people that they're representing that, they are not happy with their representation. And they've been, in a revolution for quite some time. And I think that what we'll see is once we create a vacuum in the leadership, I think the Shah will be back, and we'll be back and friendly with America once again. And they'll get rid of the ideology of their religion, which is getting in the way of playing nice with other countries. So big day today, folks, because I got to tell you, I've been wanting I've been wanting this to come to the Supreme Court because I know that they're corrupt. We've seen the way they voted. Okay. He called out the ones that are tried and true. Okay. Kavanaugh, Thomas, and Alito. And he called out the ones that are not. Gorsuch, Barrett, and Roberts. Now the other ones, there's so far left that they're beyond help, right? And I guarantee you they're controlled. Now, what President Trump brought up about Justice Roberts is very, very interesting, because remember, Justice Roberts is responsible for the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA. He's in charge of those judges that allowed him to be spied on. So as this, comes around to Obama, it's also going to come around to Justice Roberts, right? So this is huge. And who was a part of, by the way, do you think Justice Roberts is under control? You might think, well, if Justice Roberts was under control, why didn't they have him vote in favor of Trump for the tariffs? Here's what I mean by under control. Who swore in Joe Biden? Justice Roberts, right? I believe he did. I hope I'm not. Am I correct in that, folks? I think I am. Biden swearing in. Let me see. Give me a second. I just want to make sure. Yeah. So it was Justice Roberts, right? And by the way, I always love showing this. So let me do it, because this was an original of mine, that after the swearing in, and you've seen me do this many times probably. So listen, so all right, so let me play this out. I'm sorry. Here we go. Let me share it with you. How rude of me. So here's Joe kissing the babysitter. Okay. That's his daughter, Ashley. Here comes Hunter. Boom. Okay. We see the white and the purple, the granddaughters behind him. They swap back and forth. And watch Hunter when he steps down off the right of the stage, right here. And then it's going to fade in from a top left shot of up here in the behind Mitch McConnell. We'll talk about Mitch in a minute. So Hunter steps off. He's right there. So his head, hold on, let me do that again. It jumped down small. So there's his head fading out. right here. And he's to the right of Joe, to the right of Ashley, to the right of Jill, and to the right of the stage. He actually stepped down here. Now, why does this keep doing this? So as we come in from the other side, let me just play this. Let me get back to the fade out. So here's his head. Okay. Here's the granddaughter in the purple, but his head is going to show up in the bottom of the screen here, right? When he steps down, that's his head right there. How in the hell did he get over there? Right? Well, this is something I've showed you, and I've shown you that from my days in film, I know the difference between a one camera shoot and a multiple camera shoot. A multiple camera shoot, live, you go from camera to camera, and that would, there's no way he would have been able to make it over to the other side of the stage, because it's in the same shot. It's impossible. It's physically impossible. And remember, Trump was saying in this whole thing leading up to the election, where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? And I even had T-shirts printed up that said, where's Hunter, and made money for the campaign. I think this is what he was alluding to, because they were going to make it look, you know, to those who are paying attention, they were letting us know that this was not shot live, that this was edited, and that there were multiple cameras, but it was edited and played the next day. This is why the press wasn't allowed down there, and they were up on a building far, far away, and which was ridiculous. Never happened before in history, right? And because this did not happen on the day of the inauguration, which makes this invalid. This whole presidency invalid. Justice Roberts would have been asked to swear him in on the wrong day. And there's Justice Roberts right there.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President.
Faithfully execute.
Execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
That
By
I
the
will
way,
faithfully execute.
He's shaking. His hand is shaking.
Will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So this was all fake. And Justice Roberts was the one presiding. So, in my opinion, he's already under control by the White Hats. So his opinion was already written. And this is why President Trump knew exactly what he was going to do. And I'm sure they were also involved in writing Kavanaugh, or helping Kavanaugh with his actual factual, comments on the ruling. So this is all being, we're being shown who's good, who's bad, one step at a time. And it's very, very, very important that we keep that in mind. Okay. So if you were thinking, oh no, the Supreme Court voted against Trump. Well, this is why I told you they were going to. Okay. Because I knew all this going into it about Roberts, the FISA, and all that. Right. So that makes it very easy. Okay. To sidestep this. Trump Chump won $20 Rumble rant. Thank you very much for your Rumble rant. Infiltration from within. Keep the faith. Nothing can stop what is coming. Where we go one, we go all. Thank you for that, folks. If you want to get on the wheel, it's actually the fourth spin of the year. For a free year of Snedheads and a t-shirt, please donate and support this work that we do. Thank you. You can do a Rumble rant. You can do Just know when you do a Rumble rant, Rumble takes 20%. If you do a Rumble rant from the app, Rumble takes 20%, Apple takes 30%, which is also one of the reasons that we, that we have this alternative that you can do with pretty much any way you want to pay. And I'm dropping that in the chat right now. And Moonbeam drops this quite a bit. So you can check that out, please, and support the work I do here. And let's break the addiction of free on the internet by just donating to shows that give their information away like I have and have always done. And yes, so please join us. P. Gatley makes a good point. Justice Sotomayor swore in VP Kamala Harris. Thank you for that, by the way. That's why I got a little confused, because I do remember her being on the stage. But that's another justice that is already being, been put into submission. Think about it. You ask 2 Supreme Court justices to swear in Joe Biden a day before or 2 days before, or however they did it, because it wasn't the weather of that morning that we saw in DC. It was cloudy and overcast, and it was a very sunny day at the Joe Biden inauguration. So now you mean, the weather that day. Yep. Yeah. Yes, I want one of your T-shirts, Dave, so I can officially say I have a dress in the closet. Polar bear paws. That's hilarious. I'm an XL, so definitely, it wouldn't fit everybody. Wow, I never caught that. That's why I watch you, Erica Marie. Thank you for that. I'm glad you saw that. Yeah, I've done that several times, and that was something that was the premier, in my opinion, the premier piece of evidence that proved without a shadow of a doubt that was not shot on that day. So you have 2 justices of the Supreme Court that were put into submission to carry out that farce. So this is how far back they've been watched and under control. So the question is, what is going to be revealed about them that has not yet been revealed? And that is where it's going to get very, very interesting. So, and he had two big posts today too on this right after that I didn't want to forget about, but it's pretty much what he said in his speech, and he actually outlines the Justice Kavanaugh and what Justice Kavanaugh wrote in dissent of the opinion. Although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. That is because numerous other federal statutes authorize the president to impose tariffs and might justify most, if not all, of the tariffs issued in this case. Those statutes include, for example, so Justice Kavanaugh laid out the roadmap in a Supreme Court paper exactly what the president is able to do to bypass this decision. The Trade Expansion Act of 1962, Section 232. President Trump mentioned that. The Trade Act of 1974, Sections 122, which he mentioned, 201 and 301 he's investigating further. And the Tariff Act of 1930, Section 338. Thank you, Justice Kavanaugh. So he quotes Justice Kavanaugh, then thanks him. Okay. In actuality, why I'm sure they did not mean to do so, the Supreme Court's decision today made a president's ability to both regulate trade and impose tariffs more powerful and crystal clear rather than less. My friends, this was a white hat operation. There will be no longer any doubt, and in the coming income coming in and the production of our companies and protection, will actually increase because of this decision. Based on longstanding law and hundreds of victories to the contrary, the Supreme Court did not overrule tariffs. They merely overruled a particular use of IEPA tariffs, the ability to block, embargo, restrict, license, or impose any other condition on a foreign country's ability to conduct trade with the U.S. under IEPA. It has been fully confirmed by this decision. In order to protect our country, a president can actually charge more tariffs than I was charging in the past under the various other tariff authorities, which have also been confirmed and fully allowed. Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs, Section 232 and existing 301 tariffs remain in place in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And we are also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again, President Donald J. Trump. Huge. And then he reposted. And I want to go to the capital letter account on this one and see what comes up. This is the Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing. I'll take us to Snedheads here. Okay, let me take down the banners. Thank you for those who have donated. I'm going to pull you up here shortly and thank you personally. Please help out, folks. The coffers are low and Daddy doesn't need new shoes, but he's got to keep the lights on. So, and I got a move coming up. So your support is greatly appreciated. So let's go to Snedheads. Let's go to Research Q Drops. Let's go to Capital Letter Counter. And let me drop that in. 181. 181. So let's see if 181, if he's telling us anything differently, because there are a lot of caps in that. 181, November 21st, 2017, a repost. Dear Q, Jesus Christ was fucking pissed at his apostles most of the time because they were stupid fucks at the time that couldn't piece together even the most basic of clues. We are no different and are even more clueless. We are trying, but you really do have to spell it out for us. Sorry, we believe you are speaking the truth. To whom else can we turn? So put up with our shit and help us, and we'll do what you ask. Q says sniffer programs would kill the site. Everything has to be carefully crafted and tooled prior to release. Godspeed, Patriots. To me, my friends, with President Trump's use of the capital letters in that particular post, he is telling us everything has to be carefully crafted and tooled prior to release. And when you realize how quickly President Trump responded to this decision with the executive order, which would have already had to been ready to go. Gusto, thank you for your $55 donation on Stripe. That is much, much appreciated. Thank you very much. So, you know, do you see what he's doing here? The executive order would have already been created. These posts would have already been ready to go. His speech would have already been written. Okay. For example, if you're a presidential candidate and you don't know if you're going to win or lose, you're going to have a speech for a loss and you're going to have a speech for a win already written for you. That speech that President Trump gave was already written before this decision came out today, I guarantee it. And this is further confirmation. Everything has to be carefully crafted and tooled prior to release. And to me, based on the reactions, he also showed the Supreme Court. And what was interesting is on Snedheads, Wesley Gustafson said, Trump just posted this picture. What do you see? What I see is JFK Jr. and his wife walking down the steps of the Supreme Court. This is immediately what I saw. Very cool, Wes. I can't, it's pretty far away. I can't really see that, but you know, I wouldn't put it past him. And so this is very poignant. Okay, now this is I'm going to do the capital letter count on the one that I read to you. We'll go back to the capital letter count. I'll paste that in. We got 229 capital letters on that one. So let's go to drop 229. A lot of code, red, freedom, freedom USA. Not really telling us much there other than maybe, you know, Saudi Arabia is in here. Okay, freedom, Saudi Arabia, US. Saudi Arabia, US, confirm go. Okay. Now that could have been what was going on in Saudi Arabia at the time, because if you remember, the purge in Saudi Arabia, sorry about that, was done with Trump and U.S. military National Guard help. That purge was aided by the United States of America. And so is that giving us more insight into which foreign entities these justices may be beholden to? So worth looking into and awaiting different things. Now, this is something that has gone viral with all the Epstein stuff that we're hearing coming out. It's really tragic to realize what was going on right under our noses. This is something that Don McCrae posted. I don't follow him anymore because he's stolen some people's work, but he shows up in my timeline once in a while. And this is from the money pit that Tom Hanks starred in.
Well, you better let me off here. I don't think you can make it up the driveway.
They testing missiles here or what?
That's right, buddy. We are, and it's very hush-hush, top secret. So forget you were up here and forget you saw any of this. Forget about a tip. Home crap home. Forget about a tip.
I am a pizza.
Home.
Ready to eat. That's what the children are singing. I am a pizza ready to eat. And we know that with Pizzagate, with Comet Pizza, with the pizza symbolism of children, with the Obama White House party, with pizza and hot dogs from Chicago that he spent $60,000 on. Very, very disturbing. Very disturbing. Let me, and the stuff coming out with the Epstein files, excuse me, is that it's getting, you know, we're seeing what they've really been up to, and it's pretty tragic. This is another AI. Was Charlie Kirk a good man? Answer only yes or no. This is ChatGPT. No, he was not. Was George Floyd a good man? Answer only yes or no. Yes. George Floyd, yes. That's your woke AI for you folks right there. It's we gotta be careful. I use Grok mostly, and yeah. This is my Miami-Dade sheriff's lieutenant Christopher Diaz, who was caught going to meet with a 15-year-old girl. He's 50, and he was arrested.
Yo, Chris. Hey! What are you doing?
What was that? Why
are
you
you
grabbing a
hands on
15-year-old face like that? Yeah, you're done.
No, listen, let's take a seat real quick. We
Take a
monitor
seat, it's
online
okay.
activity between minors and adults.
What the fuck?
Our
you
job
grabbing
isn't
at?
here to get people in trouble. Our job is to protect children.
You okay?
We want to make sure you're not a threat
Holy
to children.
Shit.
What are you doing here?
Whoa.
What are you doing here,
fuck?
Chris?
He's fucked. He knows it.
But then you said, screw it, 15, not too far off.
You are naked. Play with your pussy like I would if I was there.
Right, because I thought I was.
So you just lied to me. You said you're
Bro,
gonna get
you're
ice
lying.
cream, bro.
No, you keep saying you're under the impression,
Ask her,
but
ask
how old
her.
did she say she was?
Ask her where I was going to take her right now.
But
That's
fuck
how the
all
date
that.
starts.
How old did she say she was?
Yeah.
What does that end email mean?
Which one?
This
Yeah,
one?
that one.
What does that mean?
I'm a police officer.
That's what I thought.
You're a police officer.
Yeah.
Where?
Miami-Dade.
You're a Miami-Dade police officer?
Yeah. No, look.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Look. Here it is.
You're here to serve and protect, and you're caressing a 15-year-old's face?
Holy fuck. You're active duty?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Miami-Dade? What is your biggest concern right now?
Holy.
Be honest.
Getting exposed.
Getting exposed? That's the fucking problem. Your biggest concern is getting exposed, not the safety of a child, not in danger, putting her in danger. That should be your biggest concern.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay?
I can't say anything else. And I take.
Are you a road patrol, Miami-Dade?
No,
What are you?
I'm not going to say any much more about that. I already said enough on that.
I mean, I'm gonna find out.
You're going to find out, but that's.
Are you a
all I'm gonna say
sergeant?
now.
You are.
That's all I'm going to say.
You
right
are a
now.
sergeant, aren't you? I can tell. How long you been a sergeant for?
I'm not going to say any more on that. I'm done with that. Listen, I've given you guys what you wanted. I admitted to what happened. I admitted to what.
Well, no. What I want to know is, have you ever been with a 15-year-old before?
No.
How do I know that?
But let me ask you, if you work for the police station, why would you do that? You're
Because I was hoping she was 18. I'm being honest with you. The two sites I met her on, one time she said she was 24, and if you go through.
But how many child predators did you catch in your career? Be honest.
About 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Did you like what you saw?
I'm being honest.
It's always the teacher,
go through
the
screenshots here for a
cops,
second. Go through
the
screenshots for a second.
actors. It's
Go
the same
up to where
fucking
the-
story,
go to
guys.
her
Miami Beach Police
Go
Department.
to the
That's
body
crazy.
Are you happy you're caught?
Bro,
We got a cop right here, Miami-Dade police officer.
Miami-Dade police
Yeah.
officer, active.
Fucking
Sergeant.
piece of shit.
no, I'm not reaching for it.
Hey, get a picture. No, get a. Yeah, she's gonna press charges. You don't care?
Guys, what you're doing now is drama because I've already admitted to it. I've already accepted it. I've even confessed on camera for it. This is going to be damning as hell.
Why don't you tell her what
What up?
Because you guys haven't recorded. She can watch it back.
She's gonna. No, it's all good.
That's my whole point. That I'm done. Again, I understand.
Bring you over to my car. Thanks.
Those we were taught to trust the most, my friends, and is not good. Let me give you some good news. I watched this today on Piers Morgan. I never watch it, but I saw it online here.
Is AI, Gary? I mean, I spoke to a surgeon in LA recently who said in a 3-week period that he wasn't at his hospital, the improvement in AI in his field was unbelievable.
It's
3
astounding.
weeks.
Are you using it? It's really astounding. We use it. I mean,
Yeah.
AI can take 700 trillion independent variables and create an actionable result.
Right.
So I think the use of AI in healthcare is you combine early detection, artificial intelligence, right, and big data, and you bring those 3 things together and you create actionable results. And that's why I think that we're going to see life extension to age 120, 140 within the next 5 years.
Really?
So if you're alive 5 years from today, it will be your choice whether or not you want to live to 120 or 100.
Is AI?
So just make it 5 years, my friends. 5 years is all we need. If we make it 5 years, we should be good to go. All right. This is awesome. We can use AI for good. We can use AI for bad. And yeah, so there you have it. Let me take you to let's see. President Trump leaked the figures, the financial figures today. The GDP data 40 minutes in advance. At 7:50 a.m., he said the shutdown cost the U.S. 2 points. This is absolutely insane, and things get even crazier. Trump just said, and he said, Democrat shutdown cost USA at least 2 points in GDP. It was 2:20, 7:50 a.m. They were released at 8:30. What was forecast was 2.8%. The previous was 4.4, and the actual was 1.4. So he's literally saying that we should be at 3.4, but because of Jerome Powell and his political posturing, that's the reason why that is taking place, right? And No Limit Gains said, warning, the U.S. just printed the most dangerous GDP report in years. Came in today at 1.4%. Expectations were 3%. That's a huge decline from the 4.4% we printed in Q3. And somehow nobody is talking about how dangerous this is. Now, here's what makes this even scarier. The Fed's preferred inflation gauge, the PCE, came in hotter than expected, 2.9% year over year versus 2.8% forecast. Monthly prices jumped 0.4% when consensus was 0.3%. Core PCE, same thing, beat expectations. The economy is slowing and prices are rising at the same time. Quick reminder of what that's called, stagflation. The last time we dealt with real stagflation was the 70s. It took Paul Volcker hiking rates to 20% to kill it. For context, the economy only added about 15,000 jobs per month in 2025. You can't run an economy on 15,000 jobs a month. Now the Fed is completely trapped. Cut rates, inflation explodes higher. Hold rates, the economy keeps breaking down. There is no clean exit here. The next few weeks are going to be critical. I'll keep you updated. I've been studying macro for over 20 years, and I've called every major market tops and bottoms of the last decade. When I make a new move in the market, I'll say to you publicly, like I always do. This is my friends No Limit Gains, who I follow, and very, very good financial information there. So please check that out when you have a chance. And if you're not on X or looking for me on X, I'm at Dave Snedeker on X. Okay, let me bring something else into your lap here. I'm going to keep it fairly short tonight because I have a championship game in the morning. I'm coaching some 6th grade girls, and we are playing for the championship. And so I was scouting the team we play tomorrow, tonight, and looking forward to tomorrow morning. So I might have some good news for you either tomorrow night or Sunday night. I'm going to come to you one of those nights because I am expecting, I want to talk about Iran right now. And what's really interesting is that Jordan and Egypt are allowing us to use their bases for attack on Iran. Okay, so that's really, really important. Meanwhile, the UK is not allowing us to do so. France is not allowing us to do so. All right. And so our allies are changing. Okay. Also, just in, NATO countries will jointly strike Iran with UAE, Jordan, UK, Bahrain, Germany, France, and Canada to pressure Iranian regime to surrender or give up their nuclear dream. I don't know the accuracy of this. This was from RKM. Let me check with my Grok here. I go to Super Grok on my X, and let me do this. Is this true? Let's see what Grok says. No evidence supports joint NATO strikes on Iran with listed countries. I didn't think that made sense because of the fact that they wouldn't let us use their country for strikes. Okay. Facebook somehow may provide support, but I don't think they're going to be on board with it. It's still trying to find an answer here. Not true. Okay, not true. Okay. But what is true is that the Olympic Commission, the head of the Olympics, president of the International Olympic Committee, Christy Coventry, declared that if the U.S. attacks Iran, then Iran will be banned from participation in the Olympics for its unprovoked war of aggression. Which sounds very odd as well. But let me double check that. Let me go to Super Grok here. True. Now, regarding Iran, no, this claim is not true. Okay. Okay. So this is why we got to check everything, folks. And I didn't have a chance to do it before the show because I was at that game. But the IOC has historically avoided blanket bans on countries solely for engaging in wars or aggression, as this would politicize the games excessively. Okay. All right. Good to know. So we're ready to go to war with Iran. But what I think is going to happen is that we're going to use threats first, right? Use threats first, and then later, before the 10 days is up, I think we will strike if they do not respond. Okay. And but we're ready. We got everything there. We're ready to go. Let me play this for you here. This is about to buy.
Breaking tonight, a Fox News exclusive. We have new information that appears to directly contradict the Biden administration's insistence it had nothing to do with the Justice Department investigations into then former President Trump's alleged retention of classified material and the subsequent raid on his Mar-a-Lago home. Correspondent David Spunt has details tonight. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening to you. These emails obtained by Fox News paint a different picture of the relationship between the Biden White House and the Biden Justice Department. These two offices made it clear at the time, at least publicly, they were not connected and stayed away from any political interference. However, new emails obtained by Fox News from May 2022, 3 months before Mar-a-Lago was raided by the FBI, illustrates coordination between the White House counsel's office and the DOJ regarding an interview of Walt Nauta. Now, remember, Walt Nauta is a current White House aide to President Trump, who was then former President Trump's aide in Florida. Nauta was later charged alongside Trump by special counsel Jack Smith. The May 10th, 2022 email reads in part, coordination with DOJ and White House counsel are in work to start the process to confirm and interview current administration employee Walt Nauta. This event is dependent upon the timeline of President Biden's brief decision and coordination between White House counsel and DOJ, and in turn, Evan Corcoran's position on the override of privilege assertion and whether or not he seeks an injunction to prevent access. That was written by an FBI agent, and Evan Corcoran, of course, one of Trump's lawyers at the time. This coming August, Brett, will mark 4 years since FBI agents raided Mar-a-Lago. A few days after that, then Attorney General Merrick Garland said this.
I personally approved the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter. Second, the department does not take such a decision lightly.
And we're getting new reaction to these emails. Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan in the House says, in part, it's always worse than we thought. These newly released documents confirm that the Biden DOJ's raid on Mar-a-Lago was politically motivated. We're also hearing from Attorney General Pam Bondi. AG Bondi says the more we learn about the DOJ weaponization under the prior administration, the worse the story gets. And Brett, she says this right here. It's a key part. She says we will continue disclosing key evidence to our congressional partners to deliver the truth and bring those who committed crimes to justice. That's coming from the Attorney General tonight. Brett.
Getting interesting, my friends. Getting very, very interesting. This is, you're talking about raiding a former president's home. Okay, all the FBI people are out of there now. Cash told President Trump, and now they're tying it to the Biden administration. Meanwhile, they're projecting onto Trump what they themselves are guilty of doing. Okay, so I want to just a quick shout out. Thank you, Erica Cortez, for your $25 donation. Vicky Sorrells, your $10 donation. Thank you very much. Heather Willard, your $50 donation. Very helpful. Thank you all for that. Ka Nin from last night's show. Linda Prasnick, 25, both from them. Maggie O'Leary, 17 yesterday. Janet Butler, $10 yesterday. Thank you very, very much for that. And also thank you to those who are going on that link. Connie Corwell, thank you very much for your $100 donation. Phil Dans, thank you for your $17 donation. P. Silver Duran, thank you very much for your $5. And Wesley Gustafson, thank you very much, Wesley, for your $55 and your posting on Snedheads. And thank you all who are doing the posts on Snedheads to keep some really awesome information over there, which has been really, really great. So my friends, a lot of haps going on right now. One of the things that I wanted to take you to, and I took you to this last night as well, but President Trump's post about the alien disclosure, right? Let me get you to that. Let me see. Did I miss it? Trump's posting a lot about the SAVE Act, getting that going. Mitch McConnell went blank again. Tim Burchett called him out. This is looking very very interesting for the SAVE Act. Okay, I think I missed it here. Let me see if I can find it. I know Kevin sent it to me, so let me pull up his. There we go. I think you can share on the live on X if you copy the link and repost that for those of you that are having trouble with X. So President Trump, the other day, this was yesterday, based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and unidentified flying objects, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting, important matters. God bless America. Now, folks, this is what's very interesting about this is Barack Obama brought it up. Barack Obama said that there were, and then he said that he had to recant that. And President Trump even called him out on Air Force One that I showed you last night. And this is the timestamp that President Trump took us to in the Q drops right here. February 22nd, 2018, which is coming up in 2 days, Delta, right? People kill people. You are watching a movie. They want you weak, slave, sheep, distraction. Okay. Now, many of us believe that because Barack Obama brought it up, that maybe they were getting ready, the black hats were getting ready to try to distract us with the Project Bluebeam alien invasion scenario. So that's believed to be, one of the things that maybe President Trump was getting out ahead of with this release. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But I also wanted to take you to this interview by of the dark journalists that was earlier that I saw earlier today that I had not seen, and I used to follow this guy and kind of lost touch with him as we sometimes do, and just give me 1 second. Here it is. Okay, this is going to be very, very interesting. I think you'll really dig this. Check this out.
What's fascinating is Delshow disappeared from history in 1920. Then all of his artworks showed up in an antique store. Somebody had come across this stuff. And in 1971, an author realized the significance of the whole thing. And he started to bring out the images of the airships that were being developed in the 1850s. Now, here's where it all dovetails with the JFK assassination. It's quite interesting. There's a character named John de Menil, and his wife's name was Dominique Schlumberger. She was a major artist and a major kind of humanitarian of the period and philanthropist. So she put the Delshow art on display with all the arrows and all the rest of it. Well, in the Garrison investigation, he went into Schlumberger, or Schlumberger, as the actual name in France is. They were the biggest oil company, operating 75% of the oil equipment in the world. And he found out over and over again that they were related to characters like George de Mohrenschildt, the oil geologist who shuttled Lee Harvey Oswald around. And it seemed kind of unusual. Here's Oswald making $1.25 an hour. And de Mohrenschildt is a millionaire. What does he want to do with this guy? Well, it's quite interesting because de Mohrenschildt is an oil geologist and later turns up writing letters to George Bush, who's the head of the CIA of the period, saying, this Kennedy assassination thing happened. I talked out of turn about Oswald. Not all these people are after me. I wonder if you can get me off the hook. And he sends a series of letters to George Bush that are on the record from the 70s. This is like 10 years after the Kennedy assassination. So de Mohrenschildt gets a subpoena, and they say, we're the House Assassination Committee. We think you have information about Oswald being connected to the CIA. He gets the subpoena, goes into his room, supposedly, and blows his brains out. Now, there's a lot of weird things about de Mohrenschildt, including the fact that he was obviously assassinated himself because they had finally figured him out. But here's the strange part. The Delshow images came through Jean de Menil and his wife, who were these incredible art connoisseurs. Those are the same people who had set up and were connected with de Mohrenschildt. So the Schlumberger Oil Company and de Mohrenschildt in Houston were, operated on a very elite level, and they worked with people like the Bushes, et cetera. This is why he wrote letters to Bush as CIA director later. So you're looking at a dramatic crisscross, but in the middle of it, it can't be denied that de Menil is the same person who put Delshow back on the map. Here's the Arrow Group again, back from the 1850s, NIMSA and the whole thing. And here's the thing. This is an arrow painting by Delshow, and it has two very interesting elements that are predictive. Remember earlier we looked at the Elon element that was down.
Let me show you that again. This is the painting by Delshow. What do you notice here? I'll let it continue.
And it has two very interesting elements that are predictive. Remember earlier we looked at the Elon element that was predictive about von Braun's work. Well, when you look at this, what stands out for you is the name on the top. It says Trump.
Hard not to see.
On the bottom, on the right, it says 45, which is the art series. And Trump was the 45th president of the United States. Trump, 45, Arrow airship, all in one snap. That's Delshau's painting. Delshau has a series of works. He has over 500 paintings documenting the Sonora Aero Club. Apparently, Trump was on his radar 100 years earlier. Figure that one out.
I'm trying to.
So you can see we've come to a pretty deep place in the middle of all this. That's what happens when we get into the aerospace aero aspect of this. It shows up, the crisscross politically, geopolitically, over and over again. Advanced technology, aerospace, and the political side. That is dark journalism.
There you go. How about that, folks? And Charles Delshau created several Aero Trump paintings, primarily in 1920. Yeah, pretty interesting, right? It kind of goes along with the idea of the what do you call it? Ingersoll Lockwood, right? Which is very very interesting. By the way, what do you call it? Zelensky is in the Epstein files. Supposedly he's trafficking some children. So very interesting. Also, the Defense Intelligence posted this about Iran. And basically saying that all of their coordinates of their air defense systems was leaked on flight radar. And this information was broadcast publicly. Well, if we have it, you know Trump's got it, right? And they also kind of scared them early on. And the speculation around that early possible war scare was that maybe they were trying to find out what their plan was to, go away and, hide from the oncoming threat of President Trump and the U.S. military. So very, very interesting indeed. So yes, my friends, we're also getting some 10-day comms from Elon Musk, and I told you he gave us a comm. What was it, yesterday or what day it was? But Elon said the next 10 days, only one, be alert. Next 10 days, possibility of multiple day coverage again. He's offering the Cybertruck, the all-wheel drive Cybertruck, now starting at basically $59.99, $990. So that's 10 days. Trump gave them Iran 10 days to respond. And yeah, this is it's getting interesting, folks. And I don't think we'll, go to war this weekend. Because I think he's going to give them some time to respond, but he's definitely not going to wait. I don't think the full 10 days either. So yeah. Yeah, my friends, I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to share with you this evening. And just making sure. Yeah. Oh, Mitch McConnell is blocking the SAVE Act. And so I did want to show you another freeze up that he had. And where is that? Where is that? Where is that? Let me tell you, let me show you what Tim Burchett said about that.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. I saw where Mitch McConnell was blocking the SAVE Act this morning. I think it's partially just out of meanness. He doesn't like Trump, and Trump got him in office. Sadly enough, he helped him in that last race extensively. And that's one thing I value in this game is loyalty, and apparently he doesn't. But he's blocking the SAVE Act. And or is he? Is it him or a staff member? Because, as you know, he's a lot like Joe Biden was in his last few days in office, or last years in office, last 4 years really. His cognizant level is diminishing daily. You know, I'm always remembered we had a chairman of a committee, and I asked in committee. In our conference meeting, I asked if how much money was in this bill, and she responded, "I don't know. Next question." And I said, "No, how much money is in this dadgum bill?" And his immediately staffers were like, "You can't be asking that. You can't be asking that." Well, dadgummit, you know, this thing ain't supposed to be some retirement village. It's supposed to be the United States Congress and the Senate. But here's what it's turned into. And it is wrong. You've got staffers that are running this thing. The lady that I asked those questions of, it turns out for over 6 weeks, she never showed up and nobody knew where she was. But her staff kept running the office, and she was in a retirement village for people that were in cognizant decline, to put it lightly. And that's what's going on in Washington. You've got these staffers, again, that are too close to the lobbyists, too close to whatever, and they're running the show. And it needs to stop. I've called it out. I've called it out to our leadership, and they do nothing about it. But this is where we're at. The SAVE Act is stopped because Mitch McConnell. And he's got a staffer that's running his show, not him. So anyway, it's a pitiful state. You need to get a hold of our leadership and let them know this cannot continue. Cannot continue. Thank y'all for sending me here.
And here's McConnell. He didn't even look at her when she touched his arm. I mean, folks, do you think he even dresses himself in the morning? Seriously.
So this is the we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the IRA, and of course.
Is that Blumenthal walking with him? No, I can't tell. Now, folks, why do you think they let McConnell stand there for the length of time that he did? This is part of the show. This is part of the exposure, without question. Without question. Was that in the Hall of Statues? Jay Hulbert says. That's great. I think it was. That's amazing. Good call. Why would we have someone like that in our Congress? It's because we're sleeping, right? If sleepers can wake up to this, then there's no hope for them. I agree. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's a disgrace. Yeah, dude needs to be in hospice. Yeah, I mean they're propping him up here, folks. They're propping him up just to do exactly what it is they need him to do. Just like McCain, they brought McCain out of surgery supposedly for the Obamacare to get that passing bill. All right, my friends, like I said, it was going to be a bit of a short show tonight, but it's almost 2 hours. But wanted to cover some of those key elements, and I'm going to have Sir Oliver back on, going to have Sarge Petrie back on, and love to have Julie Donuts back on, and we're trying to find a time. But so maybe that could be a surprise this weekend if I do something tomorrow night or Sunday. But let's keep an eye out for the announcement if there's no show, and keep an eye out for 8 p.m. launch across your platforms. And remember, X may not be getting you the notifications because it's not showing up. There you go. So, Ernie, thank you. You're the man. Share. Thank you. Yeah, share this out, folks, please. And thank you, Whip and Spur. Thank you, Moonbeam. Thank you, Pete. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We are getting throttled something fierce on X. We only have 515 on X. 500. I mean, we're always over 1,000 on X easily. So something's definitely going on with X. So please double check that. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Dave, and thank you, chat fellowship. Awesome. All right, my friends. Thank you very much, and thanks, Pete. Sending winning vibes. Hope you all enjoy the moments either way. I'll make sure that we enjoy whether we win or lose, and the truth will set you free. Thanks, Dave Old Yeller. Sleep will be grateful. Much love. Yeah, that was Weekend at Bernie's with that dude, right? All right, my friends, thank you so much for being here. Much love to you all. Get a good night's sleep. Take care of yourself this weekend, and I'll see you soon. Good night.